Hello and welcome to this Wisdom for Confident and Fluent English in 1 Year series, where we're practicing listening to English for more than 6 minutes, perhaps taking notes of what we learn, as well as reading out loud in synchronicity with me in order to practice natural English pronunciation through beautiful and helpful texts that will always teach you something to think about and put into practice for a more open, spacious, and joyful life. How much more effective do you think you can be in English when you are more open, spacious, and joyful? Are you ready? Put your mobile on silent, close all your other applications, and decide to spend 10 to 20 minutes with me looking at wholesome, healthy texts for wholesome, healthy English. Let's get this show on the road. If you haven't done so yet and you want to support me with the algorithm, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And remember to invite the bell to be notified every time I upload a new video, which will be relevant to you if you're looking to become more proficient in English. And if you're new here, my name is Tanya Meyer. I'm an English as a foreign language teacher to adults, operating at the intersection of efficient English language acquisition and use, the practice of awareness raising, and bringing more happiness and joy into our lives. What is not to love? Another word for awareness raising is mindfulness, which is the practice of stopping and looking more deeply at what is happening within me and around me in the present moment. And this practice is instrumental in bringing more clarity, joy, and understanding to whatever we do, including English, because English might be something that you engage with every day. You're going to love this text so much, especially if you live in Latin America and your native language is Spanish or Portuguese. But many other cultures around the world also share this great wisdom. Imagine yourself on holiday at the beach, just lying there on the sand, either lying in the early morning sun or under the midday shade, just looking out into the ocean, listening to the rhythmic breaking of the waves, knowing that right now there's nothing to do and nowhere to go. How does that feel? Amazing, right? Now, let's bring that feeling to today's reading. Remember that we're reading these short texts out loud from the book Your True Home, The Everyday Wisdom of Thich Nhat Hanh, Zen master, peace activist, poet, writer, and founder of the Plum Village tradition. You can find the details in the description box below. And remember also that we're reading out loud. Make sure you use your vocal cords. Don't just imagine you're reading. Don't read with your eyes. Our eyes are much quicker than our mouth. And so if we follow with our eyes, our brain thinks, oh yeah, I'm doing this. And then when we try and speak, it's like, we can't get the words out because we haven't practiced using our vocal cords to produce English. And so reading out loud in synchronicity with me is like repaving a damaged road and creating a smooth route between our thoughts and our words. Today's text is number 11, and it's all about enjoying without effort. Now, a word of caution is that it does contain the word God, and this word might create some friction. I know that it used to create a lot of friction for me. So if you're uncomfortable with that word, just substitute it for something else, like higher self or higher power or universe or anything else that works for you. Okay? But don't let one word get in the way of you benefiting from this wonderful short text. Try and read at the same pace as I do, producing this natural rhythm and cadence of English. And remember that the first time we read, we're reading simply to understand what it says. And then we'll reread for more detail. Okay? Here we go. 11. Aimlessness. There is a Buddhist teaching that might seem strange to you. This is the teaching of aimlessness, apranihita in Sanskrit. Aimlessness means not setting an object or goal in front of you and running after it. That is exactly what everybody does. We want this, we want that, and as long as we haven't got it, we think happiness will be impossible. We must bring about a revolution in our thinking. We must stop. We must do as the flower does. The flower is aware of the fact that it contains everything within it, the whole cosmos, and it does not try to become something else. It's the same for you. You have God within you, so you don't have to look for God. You have the universe within you, so you don't have to look for the universe. You have the cosmos within you. You don't have to look for the cosmos. So how about that? We don't need to run. We have nothing to prove. We're already who we are. And it looks like our job is to settle into that and share our genuine, authentic selves with the world. Isn't that beautiful? Okay, we're going to read it again now. And after that, I'll share some ideas and associations that come to mind for me, and you will be invited to do the same. And we'll also look at weak forms in English. We'll select a sentence or two from this text and look at how weak forms and stressed words come together to produce natural sounding English. So remember to read out loud. Ready? Here we go. 11. Aimlessness. There's a Buddhist teaching that might seem strange to you. This is the teaching of aimlessness, apranihita in Sanskrit. Aimlessness means not setting an object or goal in front of you and running after it. That is exactly what everybody does. We want this, we want that, and as long as we haven't got it, we think happiness will be impossible. We must bring about a revolution in our thinking. We must stop. We must do as the flower does. The flower is aware of the fact that it contains everything within it, the whole cosmos, and it does not try to become something else. It's the same for you. You have God within you, so you do not have to look for God. Right. As usual, I'd love to hear your thoughts and ideas about this week's text. So if it resonates in any way, put together a comment in English, practice your writing skills, and post it in the comments box below. Okay, here are some of my reflections and ideas. You know, growing up, especially as a teenager, I got myself into a lot of trouble. And that was because I thought that what I needed to do was to ignore my own deeper self, my own authentic self, and follow the example of others, just do what everybody else was doing. I just didn't understand why things were the way they were, and I desperately wanted to understand more, but I was always dissuaded by adults. I really did feel unpopular and misunderstood. And this made me quite angry. Why didn't adults want to understand more? It didn't make sense to ignore problems. I wanted to talk about them, but I was unable to. Something else this text reminds me is of many years later, but still quite a long time ago, when I desperately wanted to be a businesswoman. You know, I wanted to be like this very important person who has a business to run. But none of the conditions at the time were conducive to me being that or being able to do that. And every time I attempted to do something, it just failed miserably. And I was led down a dead-end street. Again, very frustrating. Perhaps you've been trying to go beyond the intermediate level with your English for years, and there haven't been enough conditions for you to be able to do that. Yet, until now, because you're watching this, right? So maybe now is the time. And one more thing this text reminds me of is a teaching that I was present for once, where the teacher said, look at a tree. A tree is not trying to be anything other than what it is. A tree, and it is powerful, it is majestic, it is beautiful, and it simply is a tree. You are the same. You are you, and that is what you need to be. You don't need to be anything or anyone else. And I found that teaching so helpful and healing. And from there, I've been able to do so many things because I've understood that I don't need to be anything other than who I am. And it is from being who I am that we can grow and evolve. Okay, so let's leave that there for a moment and let's look at weak forms in this text. We must bring about a revolution in our thinking. We must stop. We must do as the flower does. We must bring about a revolution in our thinking. We must stop. What are the stressed words here? Must, about, revolution, thinking. Must stop. So what happens with we bring a in our we as the does? What happens with those words? It's not that we don't need them. We definitely need them. But they become weak. They become, we produce them with a lower voice, and we don't pronounce them in their full form. For example, we must bring about a revolution, so that is almost lost. We must bring about a revolution in our thinking. So it's just in our thinking. That in our is not a revolution in our thinking. It's in our thinking. Yes, we must stop. That we is very weak. We must stop. We must do, again we must do as the flower, as the, not as the, but as the flower does. Not we must do as the flower does. We don't stress does. Does becomes weak. We must do as the flower does. As the flower does. So let's try that. Try and produce the stressed and the weak sounds with this one sentence. Are you ready? We must bring about a revolution in our thinking. We must stop. We must do as the flower does. This combination of stressed and weak words put together is what creates the English natural rhythm and stress, because English is a language of rhythm and stress. And so if we try to produce every word in a very clear way, if we try and pronounce every word, then what happens to English is that it sounds flat. But if we try and bring it a little bit of this, yes, some stressed words and some weak words as we speak, then suddenly we're speaking more fluently, we're speaking more naturally. It sounds like more natural English. So coming back to how my program can help you, if you feel that the time is now to become more confident and fluent in English, take a deeper look at what is happening to your English and receive the support you need, not only from myself, but from an amazing community of like-minded people. Check out the link in the description box about my ongoing English training program and apply for a consultation call. And remember that you can also download my free guide, How to Revolutionize Your English, 8 Steps for Success, which is filled with tips and strategies that you can implement straight away to bring English into your life and start using it on a more regular basis. Even if it's in your head, you don't need to be interacting with others to use English. English is also something that you can think in. So whatever it is that you think about, you can do it in English, or be aware of what you're thinking. And I'll see you in the next one. Take very good care until then. Remember to invite the bell to be notified when I upload it. See you then. Bye for now.